Karen's going to use that later, so.
Yeah. Now, somebody else is actually lighting the chalice, though, right?
Yes, Betsy. I don't know if she knows that.
Does she know that?
Yeah, you can just sit there by Jeff.
Okay, she's right there.
just need it to. I don't know. Maybe I don't need it. It feels a little too high up for me, so I
Then we
might
can
be
also
able to.
just kick it out, yeah, okay.
Yes, this
It
is.
goes back and forth.
Yeah, that's easy.
So-
Oh, sorry.
Okay, good. So we can,
Okay.
we'll share, oh, well, good, it's all gonna, apparently, it's all gonna be before us. So after the.
You look marvelous. I know, I'm not supposed to sit here. No, you're sorry. How are you? I need to leave about halfway through. Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out what halfway through is. Did you see how paid it is?
Did you not know George is like totally like naturalist?
He never, or naturalist. He never did, right?
Never came to our
Our
thing.
rich.
No, it's absolutely.
Well, like this. Like this, so I was originally going to go to the office, but now they found it over there. So I just thought, where is your? I'm probably gonna have to go for the sermon. Although,
It looks like there's a lot of stuff in there.
there's a lot of stuff, but there's short things like that.
Oh, look, there's a massive, I mean, a meditative hymn.
What could this be?
Like I said,
That's a picture of
massive hymn.
our.
Good afternoon and welcome. Please rise for our opening hymn. I'm sorry. Please. I've been told to direct people into the processional. Please rise for our processional. Processional arrives now. Please rise in body and spirit.
Good afternoon and welcome. I know I said afternoon, I've been saying good morning all afternoon. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of St. Louis. I am the Reverend Kim Mason. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I am a middle-aged white woman with short gray hair in a black robe with a rainbow stole. I am so pleased to be joining with the Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbia, Missouri together as today we ordain George Grimm-Howell to the Unitarian Universalist ministry. Yay, woo! Emily Dickinson wrote, "Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all." And so, George, hope is the thing with feathers that rustles in the mind and takes off in flight upon winds of change and soars ever onward with joy. Hope is the thing with feathers that lands in the heart and builds a nest for inspiration and nurtures love unending. That we might find hope in our souls, in our minds, in our hearts. Come and let us celebrate today. Welcome.
Hello, I'm Jamila Batchelder. I am a middle-aged white woman with lots of dark blonde hair and glasses, wearing a black robe, and I use she, her pronouns.
My name is Danielle Kazemchek, and I am also a middle-aged woman, but my hair is shorter, and it's brown, and I'm wearing glasses, and my pronouns are she, her.
In the pagan tradition, which is grounded in a respect and reverence for the natural world, calling upon the four directions is the usual way to begin any ceremony. Each direction is associated with an element of the natural world and represents some part of our human nature as well.
We begin in the east, toward the rising sun. The element of the east is air, represented on our altar by a feather. Air and breath give us life. It is the direction of inspiration, associated with the mind, with knowledge and learning and intellectual curiosity. Turning toward the east, we look for a fresh start, an invigorating breath, a new idea.
We move around the wheel to the south. The element of the south is fire, and in the southern place on our altar, the flame of our chalice burns bright. Fire is a transformative force. It is heat and light and powerful change. We associate the south towards the equator with the warmth of the sun and the heat of the flame.
Continuing around the circle, we arrive in the west. The element of the west is water. And here on our altar, we have some of the water that is collected at our water communion service each fall. We add to this water each year, symbolizing the way we come together in community as individual drops join together into a mighty river. The West calls us to self-reflection and self-understanding.
We move now to the north. The element of the north is earth, represented here by some dirt from our two churches' memorial gardens. There is stability here, the ground of our being. The north holds us, allows us time and space to heal and grow, to feel nurtured and respected. The north calls to you if you are seeking balance, the deep wisdom that lives in your bones, a place of rest and recovery.
We have moved through these four directions, given them shape and meaning. East, air, breath, and inspiration.
South, fire, transformation, and action.
West, water, feeling, and reflection.
North, earth, balance, and wisdom.
May we be reminded that the directions are not separate and isolated, but part of the interdependent system that makes up the world. May we be grounded and held in Earth's wisdom this day. Blessed be.
I am Isatu Kamar Bush, the president of the Board of Trustees for the Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbia. I am a brown-skinned woman with short black hair wearing a black dress, and I use she, her pronouns.
My name is Chuck Eby. I'm president of First Unitarian Church in St. Louis. I am a mature white man with gray and brown hair and a gray suit to match, and my pronouns are he, him, and his.
As we light our chalice, our reading comes from Glow Hope by Mary Sheldon. More than relic, living symbol, beacon to the bewildered, illuminating refuge, light of love, calling to community, signal of sacred mission.
Shine now in this world, set being ablaze, kindle our courage, ignite intuition, spark our hearts to service, glow a hope.
Good afternoon. My name is Reverend Sabrina Trapia. My pronouns are they and them. And I am a person with salt and pepper hair, glasses, a black robe, and a orange and teal stole. Let us open our hearts to welcoming the ancestors. This is a ritual that reminds us that we are because they were. We are because they were our imperfect guides, our beacons of wisdom, those who are calling us into accountability and beloved community. So we call for their guidance and their presence for George's ordination, as we remember that the ancestors make a through line to the present and the future, as we will all be ancestors someday. Now here's what we're all gonna do, because welcoming the ancestors is a group activity. I will say a verse and then you'll repeat with me, ancestors be with us. So we start by welcoming the ancestors to our living tradition, Unitarian Universalism. We welcome their steadfast guidance, their human imperfections, and their struggles. Our faith ancestors were an interesting bunch. They teach us through the cracks and the gold, through all the tumult and the strife, as it says in the hymn. May this cloud of witnesses be with us. Ancestors, be with us. We welcome our queer ancestors whose lives we honor in this month of June with pride, these pioneers and saints who remind us that there is beauty, dignity, courage, and resilience in just existing. Ancestors, be with us. We welcome the ancestors to this congregation, those whose challenging gifts made it possible for us all to be here today, and those whose names are not remembered, but whose unpaid labor is also present in the history and heritage of First Unitarian Church. May they all help us in the ongoing journey towards beloved community. Ancestors, be with us. Good. And finally, last but definitely not least, we welcome George's ancestors. His mother, Cheryl, and his aunt Franny, both of whom had clearly a direct role in George's life. They brought him up with love and made him who he is today. And we also welcome all the other ancestors from George's entire lineage across time and place. Ancestors, be with us. So may this cloud of witnesses guide George's ministry today and in the days to come. May they bring wisdom and insight for the work in which he's about to embark. May all ancestors be with us, and may we always be able to listen to the breath of history surrounding us. Amen.
Greetings, everyone. I am the Reverend Dr. Claudia Hall. My pronouns are she or they.
I am a short, chunky, disabled, middle-aged white woman who is wearing short, very short these days, blue and purple hair. I am in a black robe with blue stripes and a multicolored stole, pairing this with a purple cane today, and wearing my teal glasses. I am honored today to be the one who gets to bring ordination greetings from various directions around this globe. From here in this pulpit, I offer greetings from Illinois and the Metro East Unitarian Universalist congregation, where I am honored to serve as the minister. And from the Missouri side, I bring greetings from Emerson Chapel, where I offer as needed ministerial support. It has been my honor to know George for years now, and on this day of all days, I give great gratitude to the universe for allowing me to share collegial paths with him for this time. I am so grateful for the congregations that have benefited and will continue to benefit from his calm presence, pastoral concern, and deep reverence for all beings. We celebrate today all that has brought you to this moment and shower you with blessings that you may feel the love and strength of them in difficult times ahead. Now we turn and we will receive greetings and blessings by video from the four corners of this land, the historical and current home of the First Nations peoples, which we acknowledge as the real peoples of this land, as we welcome our wider world of collegial and congregational connections.
Hello, I am the Reverend Ian Riddell. I serve the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Desert in Rancho Mirage, California, as their settled minister. My pronouns are he, him. I am a heavy-set 55-year-old man, white man, with graying brown hair, a full beard and mustache. I wear glasses, and I'm wearing a dark shirt, a button-up shirt with pink and purple flowers all over it. I have had the joy and the honor of working with George over the past few years as his mentor in our formation process, and it has been just a delight and a joy to get to know George, to see his ministry grow, and to be with him as he makes this journey into this new form and this new stage of ministry. And so I'm here today to offer joy, to offer gratitude for George and his work, to offer a blessing to George and all of you, and to hope that the ministry that you and George live into together is fruitful, is loving, is kind, is powerful, and I hope that it changes you and it changes the world. My deep blessings on this wonderful day.
My name is Jill Braithwaite, and I use she, her pronouns, and I am a 50-ish white woman with short gray hair wearing a blue flowered top. And I am sending warm congratulations, George, from chilly Duluth, Minnesota. George, I am so grateful that we got to learn alongside one another in several seminary courses at United Theological Seminary of the Twin Cities. Your deeply thoughtful and patient and loving presence was a great gift to me and to other classmates of ours. My hope for you, dear George, as you venture into this new chapter in your ministry, is that your grounding in art and artfulness stay close to your heart and provide both your congregation and you inspiration and sustenance in the years to come. Blessed be.
All right, go ahead.
Hi, greetings from the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Jefferson City. I'm Rich Burge, he, him, former president. I'm a light-skinned man with wearing glasses and sort of an orange check shirt. And
I'm Lisa Sanding, Vice President of Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Jeff City. Pronouns are she, her. I'm wearing a jean jacket and a magenta flowery dress, long brown hair.
I'm Bob Antweiler. I'm the treasurer. My pronouns are he and him, and I'm wearing a checkered shirt and white pants.
And we just want to thank George for all the great services and messages that he's given us over the past year and a half during a really important time for our fellowship. He's given us a lot, and we really appreciate it and wish him all the best during his ordination and the great career he's sure to have.
Thank you, Reverend George.
Thank you, Reverend George.
Thank you.
Hello from Hendersonville, North Carolina. My name is Peggy Law, and I serve as the board president at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Hendersonville. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm a 72-year-old white female with short gray hair.
And I'm Ed Law. I served as a chair of the Settled Minister Search Committee for our fellowship. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I'm a 73-year-old white male with white hair pulled back in a ponytail and glasses.
We bring you congratulations from our entire congregation on your ordination. As you step into your new role as the minister at UUFH, know that you do not walk alone. Our congregation is here to support you, learn with you, and grow alongside you in this journey of faith and service.
I know I speak for the entire search team when I say how happy we were to find you. Everyone at UUFH is excited to see you here at your new home in August.
Congratulations, George.
The UU Church of Columbia sends our congratulations to the Reverend George Grimm-Howell, and we would like to offer a blessing as you begin your ordained ministry. Congregation?
I am the Reverend D. Evans. My pronouns are she, they. I am a short, white person with very gray, curly hair. I am wearing glasses, a black robe, and a green stole. An ordination by a congregation recognizes the call of a person by initiating them into Unitarian Universalist clergy. An ordination is also an acknowledgement of our faith as Unitarian Universalists. Because we affirm an interdependent web of the universe, we value generosity as it connects us together in a relationship rooted in love. Today, we call upon those assembled here to extend your generosity through the offering to the Living Tradition Fund and the Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism. You can do this by finding the QR code in your pew or by writing a check to First Unitarian Church of St. Louis. The Living Tradition Fund supports ministry in 3 ways. They provide scholarships for those who are becoming Unitarian Universalist ministers. The Living Traditions Fund also provides help to reduce educational debt and loan payments. Finally, they provide emergency help to ministers, other religious professionals, to congregational staff, to retired ministers, and to their spouses. The Living Tradition has only 1 call per year for funds. So it has become appropriately accustomed to also give to the Living Tradition Fund during ordinations. The additional support is vital for all those in these different forms of ministry and for congregational staff. Black Lives Matter of Unitarian Universalism, also known as BLUE, is a thriving spiritual community and justice-minded organization creating connection for Black people. Blue was chosen to benefit also from your generosity today. To turn to their website, we find that in their words, which are clearly stated, Blue is committed to expanding the power and capacity of Black UUs within Unitarian Universalism, providing support, information, and resources for Black Unitarian Universalists, and justice-making and liberation for Black people through our faith. Like the Living Tradition Fund, Blue depends upon donations. So please extend your generosity during this offering as the ushers come forward to both the Living Tradition Fund and Blue.
I'm Elizabeth Grimm-Howell, better known as Betsy. My pronouns are she, they. I have very short blonde hair, glasses, and I'm a middle-aged white woman.
My name is Mike Lunter. I'm one of the worship assistants here at First UU. I am also middle-aged with gray and salt pepper hair on the top of my head, and I'm a white person with a very long Santa Claus beard and wearing a black shirt. Oh, my pronouns are he, him, his.
My name is Adam Lunter. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I have a propensity for making people stand on ceremony. I am a bald, white, 50-year-old man with bad eyesight, but a good sense of humor. And a gray and white shirt on, and a beard that needs to gray a little more, I think, actually.
And I am Jeff Ordway. I'm a 60-year-old white male with close-cropped, thinning, very fine blonde hair, and a goatee that has a lot more white in it than I'm comfortable with. When two violins are placed in a room, if a chord on one violin is struck, the other violin will sound the note. If this is your definition of hope, this is for you. For the ones who know how powerful we are, who know we can sound the music in people around us simply by playing our own strings. For the ones who sing life into broken wings, who open their chests and offer their breath as wind on a still day when nothing seems to be moving, spare those intent on proving God is dead. For when your fingers are red from clutching your heart so it will beat faster. For the time you mastered the art of giving yourself for the sake of someone else. For the ones who have felt what it is to crush the lies and lift the truth so high the steeples bow to the sky. This is for you.
This is also for the people who wake early to watch the flowers bloom, who notice the moon at noon on a day when the world has slapped them in the face with its lack of light, for the parents who feed their children first and thirst for nothing when they're full.
This is for the one who showed me that the hardest thing about having nothing is having nothing to give, who said the only reason to live is to give ourselves away. So this is for the day we'll quit our jobs and work for something real. We'll feel for sunshine in the shadows, look for sun rays in the shade. This is for the people who rattled the cage that slave wages built, and for the ones who didn't know the filth until tonight, but are right now beginning songs that sound something like people turning on their porch lights and calling the homeless back home.
This is for all the stuff we own, and for the day we'll learn how much we have when we learn to give that stuff away. This is for doubt becoming faith, for falling from grace and climbing back up, for trading our silver platters for something that matters, like the gold that shines from our hands when we hold each other.
This is for your grandparents who walked 1,000 miles on broken glass to find that single patch of grass to plant a family tree where the fruit would grow to laugh. For the ones who know the math of war has always been subtraction, so they live like an action of addition. For you, when you give like every star is wishing upon you, and for the people still wishing on stars, this is for you too.
This is for the times you went through hell so someone else wouldn't have to. For the time you taught a 14-year-old girl she was powerful. For the time you taught a 14-year-old trans kid they were beautiful. For the radical anarchist asking a Republican to dance, 'cause what's the chance of anyone moving from right to left if the only moves they see are on NBC and CBS? This is for the no becoming yes, for fear becoming trust, for saying, I love you to people who will never say it to us, for scraping away the rust and remembering how to shine, for the dime you gave away when you didn't have a penny, for the many beautiful things we do, for every song we've ever sung, for refusing to believe in miracles because miracles are the impossible becoming true and everything is possible.
This is for the possibility that guides us, and the possibilities still waiting to sing and spread their wings inside us. Because tonight Saturn is on his knees proposing with all of his 10,000 rings that whatever song we've been singing, we sing even more. The world needs us right now more than it ever has before. Pull all your strings, play every chord. If you're writing letters to the prisoners, start tearing down the bars. If you're handing out flashlights in the dark, start handing out stars.
Never go a second hushing the percussion of your heart. Play loud. Play like you know the clouds have left too many people cold and broken, and you're their last chance for sun. Play like there's no time for hoping for brighter days to come. Play like the apocalypse is only 4, 3, 2, but you have a drum in your chest that could save us.
You have a song like a breath that could raise us like the sunrise into a dark sky that cries to be blue. Play like you know we won't survive if you don't, but we will if you do. Play like Saturn is on his knees, proposing with all of his 10,000 rings that we give every single breath. This is for saying yes.
This is for saying yes.
Let's hear it for the choir again. You guys are great. My name is Reverend Karen Hutt. I am a post-middle-age Black person with non-binary identity from Minnesota, and I'm tall-ish. We Unitarian Universalists know a lot about a lot of things. We are some of the most well-educated and well-informed people on the planet. Amen? Amen? Small groups of us could form teams and dominate the game Jeopardy for weeks. We could do New York Times crossword puzzles in ink. We know what president signed, what legislation, and who was there to get the pens. During coffee hour, we can debate the details of literary criticism while underscoring textual inconsistencies. We have been everywhere and seen everything, and we bring little jars of water back to tell everyone about our journeys for water communion. We are certainly a bright and accomplished lot, and we are proud and satiated in that reality. When we Unitarian Universalists learn about a topic, we let you know. We quote statistics, cite footnotes in obscure journals. We share our views on social media with righteous indignation and multi-paragraph posts. When we learn about the horrific injustice in the world, we are horrified and outraged with fury, and we want to do something. We want to have a meeting, a forum, or an action. Now, when religious liberals hear about injustice, our tendency is to do and speak. We are pragmatists and activists who have organized for reform and change throughout the history of our movement. We learn about the causes, study the issues, and work to transform the world. But friends, I gotta tell you that sometimes we miss the point. As the late Unitarian Universalist Reverend Carl Wennerstrom wrote when describing the biblical scene in which Jesus is carrying the cross to Calvary, he said, and I quote, "The first liberal is there helping Jesus. But when the cross was placed in the ground and Jesus was nailed upon it, the liberal was not there. Perhaps he was off trying to get a stay of execution or a reversal of the conviction or planning for the future support of Jesus' family or burial arrangements or maybe getting a petition up to Rome to let them know how irresponsible Pilate has been." Now, the point he makes in that is that we liberals are often absent at the point of crucifixion. The time of personal suffering, we are often not there. Sometimes we get so caught up in the changing things for the better that we forget about the significance, the fundamental importance of being with another or being with ourselves in our angst and our anxiety. Being with people, not to solve, not to advocate, not to fix, not to gain, but to be with in love, a kind of compassion that you may not even recognize or understand. Now, the dichotomy between doing and being is why congregations have ministers and ministers have congregations. Congregations gather people when they are joyous, suffering, and confused. Congregations are places of possibility, of change, of hope, and aspiration. And ministers tend to these gathered people, They tend to them during the worst and best days of their lives. When we find love and get married, and when our baby dies, our ministers are there. Ministers are people who can step into those liminal spaces of doing and being to help congregations pause, reflect, and see yet again. This is what we do. This is what George has been called to do in Unitarian Universalism. Now, George knows all too well that serving a congregation of some of the best educated, most well-informed people on the planet will not be easy. Come on now. You will need some serious tools. And we know we can be a handful. I was one of those congregants in Boston, my college days. A handful. Just a handful. And a college student too? Oh, forget about it. Now, George, we know you already have a lot of tools already. You have gone to seminary, which I can attest to. I was the VP of that seminary when you were there. Did good there, good student. Your internship says you have these tools. Those folks are here today nodding their heads. I said that you had those tools when you were a clinical student of mine in CPE for 6 months. And most of all, the Ministerial Fellowship Committee of our association says you have those tools. But there are a whole lot of things that they did not teach us in seminary. Can I get an amen from my clergy corner? A whole lot of stuff. They did not teach us how to negotiate with contractors, set up a 501c3, balance a budget, or deal with cantankerous people. They also did not teach us about the role that cotton candy and steel can play in your ministry. Now, for a minute, folks, I want you to go back in time to those summer carnivals you used to go to and take a deep breath and take in the smell of the popcorn and sugar. Are you there with me yet? Yeah. Then you see that whirling machine with that long line of excited kids waiting for that cotton candy, this confection that can transport us to a world of ethereal beauty and profound emotions extremely quickly. This delicate sweet can give you a lingering taste of wonder and joy, and you tear it off that pillowy clump. You take that pillowy clump and you pull it off, and I've got some right here. It's a little beat up, but it's still good. And George got me some, and you take off that. It's so pillowy, it's so nice and light, and you just smell it, the smell of sugar, and you just take a bite. You don't even have to chew it or bite it. It just melts in your mouth. But in a few short minutes, all that sweet sugar I just took in, that ball of cotton candy is going to disappear into thin air. Poof. Because that's all it really was. Lots of air. And enough sugar to make me feel good for a couple minutes. Good. Not bad. Homemade. Local. Friends, I think that's what we do sometimes when we create institutions and even belief systems that are not very well thought out. Not very well thought out. Or they start off well thought out, but then things happen. They are mainly there sometimes to make us feel good. American democracy seems a little airy right now, friends. We're not quite sure how we feel, according to some very, very important surveys. We're not sure how we feel about a felon running for president. We're not sure how we feel about it. We are not sure if you can support an insurrection and remain on the Supreme Court? We're not sure. It's a little airy. Cotton candy-like democracy looks nice as long as you whip it up in all that sugar of constitutional language, but then it starts to look a lot like hot air and sweet, comforting words. We do it in religion, we do it in politics, and even in our general everyday conversations. Hi, how are you? Okay, I'm fine. No, you're not fine. Elmo found that out when he tweeted out to everyone a few weeks ago, "Hey, how's everybody doing?" And 200 million people tweeted and texted back to him and told him how miserable they were. George, you will not be able to ignore the cotton candy that will come your way from congregants. Sorry, folks, but you bring it sometimes. So my advice to you, George, is to take a bite with them. Take a bite of that cotton candy. Dive into that airy bliss. And when it's done, ask them how they really feel. Did that nourish you? Did that cotton candy provide the answers you were seeking? Are you satiated? Cotton candy may stimulate a reality check that a congregant may need. It can be used as a reflexive tool of juxtaposition. We ministers can use that fairy floss to invite care seekers and parishioners to pause, to reflect, and to consider a new path. That is the work of a minister. Clergy, that's our work, right? Yes. Now, despite the lofty and impressive characteristics of Unitarian Universalists I noted earlier, there is plenty of cotton candy in our congregations. There is cotton candy about white supremacy. Oh, it's just those people over in that part of Missouri that voted for Trump. We're not racist. There's cotton candy about the proxemics of fascism. You are such an alarmist. We could never lose the right to choose that women would possibly go to jail for having an abortion. Are you crazy? That could never happen. And cotton candy about the reality of income inequality and race. Those immigrants seem to do good when they come there. What's the matter with all them black people? How come they ain't got their shit together? So much cotton candy. Sweet, easy eating, sweet, wonderful, vapid avoidance. I also know how enticing it is to offer it to other people. I have certainly done it, especially when you see someone we care for who is suffering and desperately craving that sugar high of platitudes. But the job of a minister is to help our people feel loved enough and confident enough so that when they come down off that sugar high, they can dive a little deeper into the meaning and purpose of their lives. Our job as ministers is to help the religious liberal show up at the crucifixion, just even to bear witness and not do something. It is the job of the minister to provide some carrots and some kale and a little tofu to follow up with that cotton candy. Our job is to provide something more profoundly nourishing, lasting, and fulfilling. It is the job of the minister to see through the fairy floss, to truly see the angst being held tightly in that cardboard cone of cotton candy. Now, the other tool needed for ministry, George, is steel. Steel. And unlike cotton candy, which fluffs up out of air in seconds, steel takes a long time to create. Iron ore metals are rough and uneven, even when they are mined out of the earth. They're very, very rough, and they need to be melted down and then forcefully formed. And they need to be forcefully formed by a metal worker who knows what they're doing. And the metal worker or blacksmith must heat it at tremendous temperatures for long periods of time. Then they have to pound it intensely as they forge out the desired shape of this piece of iron ore, turning it to something permanent like steel. In many cultures, the alchemist, the smithy, and the artist were all considered one fabric. Their powers of transformation over the material world were revered and even feared by the rest of the society. They were the shaman, the priest, the minister. In our Western culture that prides itself on independence, many images of steel are associated with resilience, strength, and steadfastness. And we have a million associated metaphors for that in our language. Ironclad, nerves of steel, man of steel, mind like a steel trap. The German root for steel, Stakla, means standing fast, to stand in place, or to be firm. Now, sure, there are going to be times as a minister when we have to stand in place and be firm. Amen, ministers? Amen. Clear and rooted in our posture. When covenants are broken, when harm is not owned up to, or when threats are made to the well-being of our congregation. You must then stand fast. While we may occasionally take that steely posture, most of the time, and George, I want you to hear this, most of the time, I'm not suggesting that you become the finished product of steel. I'm not asking you to become that quickly, because the finished product, steel, is rigid and inflexible. Instead, I'm inviting you to join your clergy colleagues here, down here in that burning forge. Be in that forge. When I was thinking about St. Louis, thinking about just how hot it is here, too. It's being in that forge, that hot place. And then, of course, I thought of Nelly and that song, It's Getting Hot in Here. Don't sing the next line. Don't sing the next line. If you don't know, go home and Google it. I'm just going to keep it real, as we say in my neighborhood. Keep it 100. George, you're going to always have to be in this fire, being shaped by that intensity and passion that is your call to ministry. Your ministry will keep you in that fire, molding and reshaping you to be the right tool at the right time. You will get used to it, continually being shaped by the hot temperatures of the events of the world, your community, and in your own personal life. You have to stay in that fire and let it shape you into the leader you were called to be. And you will experience many setbacks and failures to succeed. Just like iron being tempered repeatedly and turned into quality steel, it must take hundreds and hundreds of blows from the hammer. George, I'm going to share a conversation we had a long time ago. You called me one day in Minnesota, where I am, and you called me to say you were taking a different way home. I don't know if you remember this conversation, but I'm going to put all your stuff out here in public now. So, you called me, you're coming from your clinical site from the homeless shelter, and you said that you went to a different part of St. Louis you usually don't drive through. And I knew that was the black part of town, because that's the way it is, St. Louis, it's this or that. As I listened to you share your frustration about the disparities that you saw and the angst that it was causing you as a white man, and you often talk about being a white cis man, or all the things that you had said about your identity and you're learning all these new things, I sensed that you were giving up the cotton candy that day as you really struggled to make sense of what you saw and what you found and what you felt and where your place was amongst the contradictions and the lies that is America. Now, if I were just any old black person, and not a minister, I would have dismissed your comments and put you in another little box of this white boy just waking up for the first time. You know, I could have done that. I could have said that. But I'm not. I'm a minister. I'm his minister when he was in my course and in my seminary. He was my student. So I didn't put him in a box because I had a different responsibility. And as a black minister who's self-differentiated enough to serve all people, I chose to join you in the fire. So I said words that would light up a match to you. I said some tough stuff, and I said, yeah, that's what's up. You're seeing it, because you could see that I could see that you were meeting me at the crucifixion that day on the phone. I'll never forget it. I really won't. And I haven't ever spoken to you about it, but it had an impact on me. It made me a better minister, because I could have dismissed you with my smart aleck self, but I didn't, because I remembered what my job is. You were bearing witness with humility, George, that day, and I did my job, and together we have new meaning and purpose. George, your achievements, your confidence, your goodness, these things do not qualify you to work to be a minister that you've been called to do. They don't. What qualifies you is that you love the people. Look around you here. Feel the spirit in this place. They love you too. This community will be with you. This community will give you what you need. Be not afraid, because you can do hard things. I've watched you do hard things. But George, your call will deepen now. It will now take shape in that hot forge on this day of ordination. To answer your call now, your answer now must be filled with courage and with conviction, with energy, with intelligence, imagination, and even more love than you can imagine. You can do hard things, George. I've seen you do hard things. Remember that the prophetic and the pastoral minister is not afraid of the unknown, because the prophetic inclination is endowed with an intuition that will help you penetrate the unknown and see beyond the present moment. Not as a future teller, but as a visionary who can tell the truth from falsehood. Today, George, you are part of a fellowship of the unashamed, unabashed, and unafraid badassery world of the clergy. There's some badasses up here too, right? George, the die has been cast. You have stepped over the line. The decision has been made. Now, when things get hard and there's too much cotton candy or the steel is unyielding, don't look back in regret. Don't let up, don't slow down, don't back away, because you can do hard things. I've seen you do hard things. Because you don't have to be right. You don't have to be recognized, you don't have to be rewarded, and you don't have to be regarded. You know, black preachers love alliteration. Sitting home going, R. George, you now live by faith, and you walk by patience. That's a gift you have. And you're going to live by prayer and labor in goodness. George, today you stand tall and unwavering. You cannot now be bought or compromised or detoured or lured away or turned back or diluted or delayed when you come out of that forge. You will not flinch in the face of sacrifice, hesitate in the presence of the adversary, negotiate at the table of an enemy, or meander in the maze of mediocrity. Dear friend and now colleague, preach all you know and work hard, and just before you get too tired, stop, breathe, take a nap, then get back to work. I'm a boomer. You got to work all the time, right? You are loved, George. You have what you need, and you need not be afraid. I'm going to end with a quote from Rabbi Abraham Joshua Herschel, who said, and I quote, "Remember that there is a meaning beyond absurdity. Be sure that every little deed counts, and that every work has power. Never forget that you can still do your share to redeem the world in spite of all the absurdities and frustrations and disappointment. So, next time you go to the carnival, get yourself some cotton candy, but notice carefully that that fairy floss is being transformed in a forge of powerful steel vat that will not stop creating new wonders. Cotton candy and steel, George, use them judiciously. Amen.
In the Unitarian tradition, the authority to ordain ministers rests solely with our congregations. It is our people of our communities gathered for sacred purpose who recognize the divine at work and call that spirit out from one of their own, setting that person aside and conferring a sacred charge upon them, that of ordained ministry. It is by our choice, consecrated by the relationships we share, that we entrust them with a lifelong task of ministering to this world and its people, both within the UU congregation and beyond.
Today, in the tradition of our free church, we who are gathered here have the honor and duty of adding another minister to the lineage of clergy that reaches far back in time and far forward into the future. The act of ordination bestows the authority of religious leadership, the title of reverend, and the privilege to wear a stole and bear the responsibilities of that mantle.
George, you have prepared yourself with deep contemplation, study, and experience that have equipped you for this vocation.
You have shared your gifts with our congregations and received the recommendation of the Ministerial Fellowship Committee of our Unitarian Universalist Association. Are you ready and willing to accept the mantle of ordained ministry?
As the church where George recognized his call to serve the ministry of our tradition, the members of our congregation have voted to ordain George Grimm-Howell. Will the members of First Unitarian Church of St. Louis now rise as you are able in body and spirit?
As the teaching church that helped to form George into the minister he is today, by vote of the board and affirmation of our membership, our congregation has chosen to ordain George Grimm-Howell. Will the members of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbia, Missouri, including those who are attending virtually, now rise as you are able in body or spirit? We invite you now to speak the words of ordination printed in your order of service.
Please, with the First Unitarian, members of First Unitarian Church, speak with me. We, the members of the First Unitarian of St. Louis,
and we, the members of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbia, Missouri, do hereby ordain you, George William Grimm-Howell, into the Unitarian Universalist ministry. We affirm your call to serve in the tradition of our shared faith. Wherever you may be called, we charge you to speak the truth in freedom and love, to minister with compassion to joys and sorrows, and to work for justice each day. We pledge to support you in all your ways that we can throughout your ministry. May you continue to grow, heal, and transform yourself and the world as you live into this call for the rest of your days.
It is with humility and gratitude and joy that I accept the ministry to which you have ordained me. Mindful of the immense privileges and responsibilities of ministry, I dedicate myself to this vocation and pledge myself to the service of our Unitarian Universalist faith, our common humanity, and the wider world. I know, like those who came before me and those who will come after, that I cannot do this work alone. I ask for your love and support as I take up this ministry.
will George's family and colleagues please rise in body or spirit and affirm this ordination? We have witnessed and accompanied you as you have done the hard work of preparing for this day. With joy and pride, we affirm this ordination and offer our blessing upon your ministry. As you go forth, know that your support and love goes with you wherever your call may lead.
We invite all present now to rise in body or spirit to join in affirmation of this ordination. Will all of you join along with us? We celebrate you now as a Unitarian Universalist minister and affirm your ordination as the Reverend George Grimm-Howell. May your ministry nourish and sustain you, and may it be a blaze of light and warmth in a well of death and healing justice in the world. Amen, and blessed be.
Thank you all. You may be seated.
Hello. I am the Reverend Dr. Molly Hausch-Gordon. I am the minister of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbia, Missouri, where I was privileged to be the supervisor for Georgia's internship. I use she, her pronouns, and I am a pale-skinned white woman with red hair that's very long on one side and very short on the other. I'm wearing a black robe and a white stole with a stained glass pattern of grapes and leaves.
And I would like to invite Candy Iveson, the chair of George's internship committee, to come on forward and join me to present our gifts to George upon the occasion of his ordination. I have a smaller token first, and then Candy will present a stole. George, as you go into your service as minister and move on to North Carolina, we hope that you will carry us with you. We know that in the Christian tradition, ordinands often receive a communion set for their ordination, and so we are gifting you with coffee mugs, as well as several tokens that are mementos of the ministry that you accomplished with us in your internship. And we also wish to present you with this stole from our congregation.
Can I open it? Yes. Okay. Put it on it. That was what I intended to do. Would you like the yellow side or the purple side?
Purple. We're going purple today.
And I would like to invite forward Kathy Rausch, a member of our Makers Ministry and one of the joint committee that helped to put together today's service and reception. Kathy.
So we didn't know about that stole. So you may take that off for a minute.
No, just put it on over top. Just put it on over top.
Layers. Layering is a thing.
You can see this represents all the mountains.
So what Kathy has done is to create a stole that represents, here, come tell the people what you've done.
The rivers at the bottom represent our congregations here in Missouri along the Mississippi and the Missouri River. And then on this side, you will see the choir, which represents George's singing and the Gateway Men's Chorus. And then above them are notes and a staff that become the rainbow. The rainbow flows up into the mountains, which represents Hendersonville, Virginia, where he'll be going. North Carolina, sorry. And then snowflakes above the mountains. And then down here we have the congregation of both St. Louis and your future, and a little dog representing your little dog. I didn't put two dogs on there, just one. So that's my idea. You're welcome.
May you know that you are always connected to us wherever you may go.
Thank you all, and we just wanted to share that we also will be making a gift to the ministerial intern fund at both of the congregations, so the Lewis Ministerial Fund for First Church and the Bill Haney Fund at Columbia. We're very happy to support those programs that create a future for new ministers. And thank you all for that.
My name is the Reverend Krista Taves, and I am a tall, thin, middle-aged woman with silver blonde hair. I like to still think I have more blonde than silver. I am wearing a robe with a stole with trees and a river flowing through it. My pronouns are she, her. In our Unitarian Universalist tradition, when one has made their vow to undertake a new way of being in the service of ministry, We invite all those present to participate in a blessing through our hands. This sacred act honors the communal nature of ministry, a reminder that the work of ministry is shared, that even when we ministers feel most alone, we do not act alone. It also recognizes the priesthood of all believers, that the authority to minister in our tradition is conferred by congregations. And it also reminds us that the ministry we cherish is not an intellectual or metaphysical exercise. It is meant to serve human lives here and now. For it is with our hands that we reach out to the world. With our hands, we grasp what is beyond the self and bring it close. With our hands, we take what is ours and we give it away. Our hands offer support and healing, holding and blessing. They receive, give. As we use our hands, we shape our lives. This ritual involves laying of hands on George by a small circle and then bringing in more and more of those gathered until we are all connected to George by a human web. And if you prefer, if touch is uncomfortable for you, you are welcome to simply raise your hands, and that will be a sign to those around you that you will connect to this gathered body and with Reverend George in that way. So in just a moment, I will ask the members of George's family to come forward and lay their hands upon him. They will be followed by George's ministerial colleagues of all faiths, and then by all the members and friends and guests of the Unitarian Church of St. Louis and the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Columbia. Also, those of you who are in Hendersonville, you are also welcome to stand and connect with each other as you are willing and able, and join with us in this laying on of hands. You're with us in spirit, if not in body. So we won't all be able to touch George directly, but as we place our hands, okay, that'd be a lot of touch. But as we place our hands on one another's hands, arms, or shoulders, we will form that human web and we will all be connected to him. So let us do this now. Would George's family please come forward? And now the colleagues who I would invite to come forward as well. And we can go on both sides. That way. There we go. And now I would invite those who will connect by the raising of hands to do so. And now those who wish to join the physical chain connecting us to George, I would invite you to come forward, and we will connect through lines of touch to extend our blessing on George. I invite you to join me as you are willing and able in the spirit, in the spirit of prayer for this prayer of ordination. Spirit of life and love, breathing in us and through us and all around us, alive through us, we call upon you to flow through our hands and to encircle, empower, and enfold this precious one, the Reverend George Grimm-Howell, who we have ordained to ministry this day. Bless Reverend George with compassion and courage to help nurture the spirits of those with whom he ministers and to help heal our hurting world. Keep his eyes open to the miracles that surround us every day and help him as he makes them more visible to us all. Give him the consciousness to listen and honor diversities of culture, worldview, and experience, and the audacity to speak out for the despairing and the disempowered, as well as the humility to know his own limitations. May George always have a strong voice to call out for support and companionship, a compassionate heart to build communities of solidarity and welcome, and a warm embrace for those who need him most, including his beloved family. And may these congregations know that in ordaining George to our Unitarian Universalist ministry, they call themselves to ministry as well, the shared ministry of the priesthood and prophethood of all believers, which invites all of us to respond ever more fully to the demands of compassion and conscience upon our lives. Spirit of life and love, we are grateful for George's many gifts, both innate and honed through the study of theology and the practices of ministry. May George use his gifts well to enrich our living tradition, and may his service among us be rich and joyful and blessed. Let's give us an amen. Amen. You may be seated.
Our prayer of ordination is also being offered this morning by Pastor Jacqueline Duhart by video recording from Oakland, California. Pastor Jacqueline is a mature woman with ebony skin and a bald head, wearing glasses and a purple robe with an ivory satin stole.
Beloved, we gather in this ritual of ordination to bear witness to and bless George Grimm-Howell. This ritual also extends to us an opportunity to turn our attention to sacred energies which hold us all in sweet, tender, transformative power of love. This energy that holds all of us may flow to some by sitting in the majesty of the redwood forest. For others, it may be floating in the cleansing, refreshing power of water. Perhaps some of us connect with a source that holds all living and breathing creatures in meditation or through sacred activism. And others experience it through the intellectual complexities of science and reason. My name for this awe-inspiring power that heals and gives us energy is prayer. However you connect, please touch into your source and join me in a moment of reverence and prayer as we hold each other, our world, and George as he crosses this holy, transformative threshold of ordination. Please join me in a moment of sweet prayer and meditation. Divine reverence and radiance of awe and wonder, you are the light of love. Gather in, gather close. Energies of mercy, kindness, compassion, respect, forgiveness, joy, and hope. We invite you to fill our bodies to overflowing, that we may have immediate access to your gifts and powers. We invite you to be a constant fire in our bones as a reminder that now is the time to be a model for the changes that we most desperately seek. We invite you to use our hands, our hearts, our feet, and our words in the service of the common good. Our histories tell us that our individual and collective journeys to genuine love and spiritual wholeness are neither quick nor without sorrow. The unending, unfolding seasons of nature shows us that leaning into the almighty powers of love with our whole divine self is a lifelong journey. In reverence to the mysteries of all of creation, may we reverently partner with each other and the divine to show up in bright hope and for love. For together we are a mighty force for holy change, bright hope, and justice for all. May we make it so. Amen, Ashe, Shalom, and blessed be.
Hello, I am the Reverend Dottie Matthews. I'm an affiliated community minister at the UU Church of Columbia, Missouri. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm an older white woman with gray curly hair. And today I'm wearing a cream-colored robe with a red stole and a lot of colorful highlights. George? Much of what I'm going to say has been said, but it definitely bears repeating. So here we go. From the beginnings of our liberal religious tradition, our ministers have been ordained and called by congregations and not by a church hierarchy. And thus, the part of this ordination ceremony that we're about to enact is an important one. This element, the collegial welcome, is on its surface a simple act of having a senior colleague extend a hand of welcome to the newly ordained minister on behalf of all of their colleagues. But as a ritual, this act of welcome actually dates back centuries, and it's a symbolic connection to our long line of ministerial ancestors, as well as to our present and future colleagues. It is a reminder that we ministers are part of a vocation and a role that transcends time and is much bigger than simply us as individuals. And in order to live the deeply powerful and challenging vocation of ministry, we need the love and support of our colleagues, showing up day after day to do the work of profound, soulful exploration, the work of building community of true equity, peace, justice, and freedom. We need the love and committed partnership of our colleagues. In the ministry, we are called to give our hearts and our lives to help build faith and keep hope alive in the most challenging, daunting circumstances. And thus, we need a radical collegial love that will both lift us up and hold us accountable to the values and the ethics that we share and declare. I know that my own collegial relationships have been profoundly needed and appreciated over the years, and even now in retirement, they continue to be so unto this day. George, this supportive, committed, joyful, accountable, radical love is the love that I and our community of colleagues have for you. And so I am honored to welcome you into the fellowship of ordained ministers who will journey side by side with you from this day forward through all the sincere effort that you put out, the innumerable joys, the blessings, and the inevitable tribulations. Ministry like that, all of those days are yet to come. So I am delighted to extend this hand of fellowship to you on this sacred day, George.
tell you. It's Molly again. The Reverend George. It is my delight to deliver a charge to you as you take up your ordained ministry, just as it was my delight to witness your growth in ministry across these last 2 years. As I charge you in your ministry, I celebrate all that you are already becoming and all that you already are. You have all the gifts you need right here. Still, I never pass up an opportunity to boss someone around. So I have 4 instructions for you. Always spend some time alone. Do none of this alone. Share what you have learned. Have no freaking clue. George, there is a deep and trustworthy core inside you. Some people call it the soul. Some people call it the spark of the divine. Some people call it the truest self. I don't really care what you call it. But I know that it is wise. It is rooted in the earth and winged to the sky. It is steady and true, and it is very quiet. This still small voice that sustains you, that is you, is absolutely reliable and very quiet. And this work that you have chosen requires that voice, and this work that you have chosen can be very loud. There will be 100 voices in your ear all the time asking things of you, beautiful things and hard things, necessary things and some distracting things, right things and wrong things, and lots of muddled, mixed up things. Ministry asks of us our souls. It requires our deepest selves. But sometimes it also invites us to abandon ourselves, which is why you must always find the time to spend some time alone, listening, grounding, reconnecting with your soul. Put that time on your calendar. Protect that time with your life because it is your life. Your soul is your life, and it is your trustworthy guide, but only if you attend to it rigorously and constantly. So spend some time alone. And do none of this alone. Ministry can be isolating sometimes. It requires the slightest setting apart from the community that you love. That is how we manage power and authority responsibly. Today, you have agreed to be a slight degree removed from the people you are called to love. And sometimes it is tempting to forget amid that remove that real embodied love is still the heart of what we're called to do. That even at that slight remove, tending relationships is the heart of this work. That being tangled up with our colleagues and our congregants and our human kin is both our inescapable fate and what we are called to do on purpose. We are interconnected, and when we would deny or forget that fact, we do great harm. But when we deepen that interdependence on purpose, that is when we reach the highest promise of our faith. George, you are such a creative person with so many great ideas, which is why you must find your co-conspirators. Put people before ideas every time. Start with relationship, not as step 1, but as step 0. I charge you today to turn toward your people over and over again. Every day and always turn toward your family, turn toward your loved ones, turn toward your colleagues who are here for you and who understand. Turn toward the people you serve. Turn toward them in ways appropriate to your different roles, but always turn back to your people every time. Do none of this alone. And while you're at it, share what you have learned. Can you believe what a privilege it is to literally be paid to deepen your spirit in front of other people who are trying to do the same thing? What a privilege it was and will be to spend years of study pondering the mysteries of life, first in seminary and now as your career. We get to do that. This time and space to learn and keep learning is one of the biggest gifts of the ministry, and it is a human need and right. And when we are at our best, ministers are not repositories of knowledge, but conduits of it. Not experts, but sharers in the journey. You are embarking on an adventure of the spirit and mind and heart, and you will learn so much in these coming years. Do not hoard a single bit of it, but let it flow through you to those you serve in a deeply shared ministry, remembering that it is never your job to know more than the people you serve. It is your job to grow in spirit in a way that invites and equips them to do the same. Share what you have learned. But most importantly of all, make sure you have no freaking clue. Stay bewildered. Easy enough. We live in an unfolding universe of evolving life and bouncing atoms, and the moment you think you've got any of it figured out, it has already changed. You have wonderful training and excellent expertise, and you will bring all of that to your ministry, but the most important thing that you can bring is your willingness to not know, to be on the mystery with the people you serve, to sit with them looking out across the void and wonder together, to plan with them for the uncertain future of the church and be deeply curious together, to mediate conflict with them, having no idea how it will be transformed, to take halting steps towards the better world we dream of, having no idea what that world could possibly be, to worship with them in awe and be delightfully surprised by the workings of the Spirit. As Unitarian Universalists, it is our deepest work to live the questions together, like Rilke encouraged. And in these times of deadly authoritarian certainties, it may be our most radical offering to the world to be grounded and sustained in not knowing together. In these times of struggle, perhaps it is our most hopeful act to have no clue how it's all going to turn out, because then it could still be so beautiful. But it can only unfold if we will avoid the certainty of control and let it. So I charge you, most importantly, to have no freaking clue. George, I'm grateful that the Church Universal is now blessed with your ordained ministry. Spend some time alone, do none of it alone, share what you have learned, and have no clue. And your ministry will be a great gift indeed, and a blessing to a world that needs our care. Congratulations.
Now, y'all didn't think you were going to get out of here without any responsibilities, did you? I told the First U choir on Wednesday night that ordinations and installations are the highest pomp and circumstance that you are likely to encounter in a Unitarian Universalist congregation. In a denomination where you're as likely to see ministers in Doc Martens as in Birkenstocks, where readings are as likely to come from a genderqueer poet as from a religious holy text, where the Christians and the pagans sit down in the same pew, why all the pomp and circumstance? This today is our religious heritage, alive and in action. And not just the robes and the processing, but our Unitarian Universalist congregations have a sacred and joyful duty to ordain ministers. You've heard this several times. It only happens in these gatherings. Unlike many faith traditions where a religious leader is consecrated by a denominational authority outside the congregation, we understand that power resides within the congregation, with the people. In the 1997 UUA Commission on Appraisal's report, Interdependence, Renewing Congregational Polity, it states, being part of a religious community is a personal commitment that reflects a theological vision, namely, a sense of the fundamentally interdependent or covenantal nature of existence. Being in community, then, is not incidental to being a Unitarian Universalist, but is instead intrinsic and inescapable. Rooted in that theological understanding of our interconnectedness, our congregations are our denomination. We are an association of congregations. And thus, as congregations, we have some sacred responsibilities. 1, to serve as a spiritual community of mutual commitment, caring, and support. 2, to create change in ourselves and in the world through active and actual expressions of love and justice. And 3, to perform the act of ordination to the ministry. Bound in covenant one to another, our congregations recognize our interdependence, and at no time is this more evident than at an ordination. When a home church or an internship congregation or both together choose to ordain a minister, it is a recognition that ministry is not bound to one place or time. It is an act of commitment and responsibility to all the other places and times a minister may serve in the course of their calling. It is an act of hope. Because it is fundamentally hopeful to say we believe in this person's ministry and their ability to serve not only us, but whomever and in whatever circumstance they might find themselves. And not just that, but that we return that same trust to other UU congregations and communities when they ordain ministers. Thus, hope exists in that very interdependence, in our relationships of reciprocity. When we participate in the act of ordination, we are recommitting to our covenant with each other, with our congregation, and with our faith. Our relationships of reciprocity are sources of joy and mutual flourishing. The Reverend Julian Jamaico Soto writes, our hope is not indefinite. It does not come magically from inside each of us, nor does it exist for ourselves alone. Hope is a practice we create. Just as mastering physical skills takes a lot of training and practice, mastering communal hope requires that we stay in it and do the actions that will bring about new states of being and new futures. We are in this together means that we choose each other over and over as sources and communities of hope. Maybe we will repeat it often. Changing our reality often takes more than one try. We are all in this together, thank goodness. And so my charge to you is to hold hope, to be the hope of our interconnectedness, to hold those 3 responsibilities lightly, and to remember that you are not alone. We leave here today jubilant, rooted in the knowledge that the call of hope leads over and over to our inextricable interdependence and our shared role as sources and communities of hope. Let this knowing take root inside you, and let it bring you back to love again and again and again. We are in this together. Thank goodness.
We now release the directions which give our lives shape and meaning. We release you east, but hold your inspiration.
We release you south and the flame of our chalice, but we carry your light with us.
We release you west, but continue to embrace our inner journeys.
We release you north, but hold your grounded wisdom in our hearts.
Good people, dear colleagues, beloveds here and across this land, here we have gathered in this sacred place of memory, hope, and reverence. Here we have gathered our strength and committed ourselves to the bold, audacious yes that is Unitarian Universalism. Let us embark hand in hand on this journey of faithfulness that never ends. Let us together take our yes out into the world and into this hurting and divided world. Amen and blessed be. Thank you all for being here, and I invite you to remain seated for the postlude, then the champagne and hugs in Fellowship Hall. Amen, and thank you, Earl.